Hey there guys, it's Ryan Raids and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. What we're going to do is pick out my most wanted for each faction for the free-to-play account. What we'll do is we'll do one epic and one legendary. We'll discount mythicals, which I think would help the free-to-play account as it stands right now. So these are the champions I've got already. Brewguard's on the account, so I'm going to be leveling him out, and then hopefully this skill here, remove all debuffs, give you a 15% heal, a nice shield for 15% of his max HP, an extra 2% heal for each debuff removed. So with that annoying spider in Doom Tower, that's quite a few poisons what he'll wipe off, so it might give me like a 25% heal for a champion. We'll see. I'm going to get him up to 50, put some artifacts on him, do his first few bits of masteries, and then we'll give him a go on the spider in Doom Tower. So let's jump straight into it then. Guys, feel free to comment down below if you agree with what I'm saying, disagree with what I'm saying, or if there's anything I've missed out and you feel should be mentioned as well. So first off, we'll start with the Bannerlords. And I know everyone is going to go straight to Taras and be like, bang, he's the one. And because he is a crazy champion. But for this account as it is right now, I think Mariska would be the better option. She brings a speed aura in all battles by 24%. She's got a crazy passive where she revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 75% turn meter whenever she is killed. And if you have another reviver on the team, then they'll just pop her back up. And then she places block damage on all allies if someone tries to put out a bomb, poison, or burn. And then she's got a full cleanse, fully restores allies' decreased max HP by 40%. She's got a shield and strengthen, and then she's got one ally attack, which isn't what she's about, unless Taras is on there and then he comes in and smacks. So yeah, I would go Mariska is the legendary option. So for epics, Lady Annabelle's a good shout to do Bommel, because I'm going to struggle with Bommel when I get to it. Your Sala's a good champion, but I think I'm going to go with Stag Knight for right now. He's got in his passive a 50% increased accuracy if you have a debuff resisted. He's got a decreased defense and decreased attack AoE, and then a decreased speed as well. So a solid epic. I would not mind picking him up on the account. Next up, the High Elves. So obviously Arbiter's a decent champion. She's used absolutely everywhere, but I'm not going to pick in freebie. Feina's decent, Lysandra's decent, but I think I'm going to go with Warmaster Authorion, and mainly because of he's got some decent self buffage, so increased attack, increased accuracy, increased speed for 3 turns, and then he gets an extra turn, so then he goes in with his 2 times AoE smack, which is an enemy max HP and also scales off attack, and he places block buff and decreased attack, so he would massively help me progress through Hydra, I reckon, just for this skill alone. So I reckon that's him for the legendaries. And then for the epics, so you got decent champions like Royal Guard, Tyrell would be decent, Scramus is decent, Neldor's decent for Fire Knight, but I'm going to go straight with Fervergis, because when the Scarab King comes up in Doom Tower, he is the guy who solos it. He's my solo champion on my main account for the Scarab King, and it's all to do with this passive. So he places a shield on this champion, 10% of their max HP for 2 turns, whenever he loses 10% or more. And then when he gets to half health, he puts a continuous heal on himself for 2 turns. So he just doesn't die. So yeah, he can solo the Scarab King. That'd be the main reason why. So next up, we got the Sacred Order. Before they absolutely nerfed Wixwell into the ground, it would have been Wixwell. But I'm going to go with Cardiel, and it's because of this skill here. So he puts increased crit rate and crit damage across the whole team, and then does a full team ally attack, which is great for Fire Knight. He's got a speed aura in all battles. Plus he just receives 20% less damage from Demonspawn, Undead Hordes, and the Knight's Revenant. He's got a block debuff and a revive on death for 2 turns. The revive on death cannot be removed. Plus he just looks absolutely badass, I reckon. Amazing looking champion, this one. So cool. So cool. So epic wise, Deacon's a good champion, Phoenix is a good champion, Inquisitor Shamal for Hydra's a decent champion, Anchorite's decent for clan boss these days, but I'm going to go with Godseeker and Eri. And it's all about this preempting a fatal hit and putting revive on death on a champion. Then also revives a dead ally with 50% HP and fills their turn meter by 50%, and resets the cooldowns on all of their skills. Absolutely quality epic. Absolutely quality epic. So that is the Sacred Order. So Barbarians, and I'm going straight. They have got some decent legendaries, to be fair. I'm going straight for Armands. If I got Armands on this account, Arena would just become nice and simple, and in any wave-based content, especially Doom Tower, this skill here is just nuts. Absolutely nuts. So he steals all the team turn meter of each target and then stuns the whole team. So he basically gets to go straight again once he steals all the turn meter. And then obviously Sheep. And then a 28% aura, 28% in arena battles. So yeah, straight to Armands. And then epics, I'm going to go a little bit out there and I'm going to go for Hoskarul, because the chances of me getting Armands is pretty slim. I think this guy for waves would be decent on the account for right now. So he attacks an enemy, he's got a stun, goes up to 40%, an extra 5% with a mastery sniper, and then he's got an AoE, 75% chance to stun, obviously 80% with the extra mastery, and then he can decrease the turn meter of enemies under stun by 15%. If you're stunned, he removes all your stuns and then places increased defense and increased resistance on all allies, and he's also immune to stun. He also increases the damage inflicted by all allies by 15% if any of the enemies are under stun. So I think him on the account right now would be absolutely decent. Well, I reckon for Arena, if I pop him in the Arena team and then got him to go, does he go off by attack? No, he's defense based. So get him to go first before Loki, just stun everyone, and then also in wave based content, especially through Doom Tower and Cursed City when that opens up. The next up, we are going to the Ogryn Tribes. So this faction is pretty poor for legendaries. You all know who the epic's going to be, but I've got the Legend Jeroboam in the team now. Gurtuk's pretty good champion. Durgo, since his buff, is a decent champion now, hits quite hard. But I would go for Razur, and mainly for Hydra. So whenever he's attacked, he heals all the allies except himself by 70% of the damage received, but it's only 35% against bosses, and it's got no cooldown. And he also gets an unkillable before receiving a fatal hit. He's got a provoke on his A3, an AoE provoke, and he's also got an AoE attack, which is enemy max HP, decent for Hydra, and he increases the duration of all buffs on allies for 1 turn and a little bit of healage for himself. So yeah, it'll be him for Hydra progression. And then for the epics, it'd be Ugo. I would not mind getting an Ugo for this skill here. AoE, decreased defense and block buffs, great for Hydra, great for waves. She's also got a leech on the A1 and also a nice little heal on her A3, and then revives all dead allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and then she also gets an increased speed and block damage for 1 turn whenever her last living ally dies. So yeah, 100% Ugo. I would not mind picking up an Ugo. Moving on, we are at the Lizardmen. So, legendary Lizardmen, I would go straight for, they got a few decent legendaries here. Dracomoth's decent, Fushan's decent, Pythion's decent, Necmofar's great for Hydra, Krokmar's decent, Krisk is decent, Romantu's decent, Safurion's decent, but I would go Chagor's decent straight to Teox, because he is just an absolute beast damage wise. So yeah, it would definitely be Teox. Plus he's the faction unity guy for the Lizardmen, so yeah, he's just bonkers, this champion. So he'd be the number 1 for legendaries. And then for epics, it's a little bit tougher, this one. Broadmoor, you confuse. Aox is alright. Venomage is decent. But if I was going to look for right now, I reckon I'd go Jareg. And it's mainly because his abilities for clan boss. He's got a decreased attack, he's got an ally protection and increased defense. Even though it's on a 4-turn cooldown, I think it still progressed me, the clan boss. And he's got a continuous heal whenever an ally uses 20% of their max HP in 1 hit. I reckon he would help me progress with clan boss if I picked him up right now. So that's Lizardmen. Let's go to the Skinwalkers. So for Skinwalkers, I would go for Gishnak. He looks pretty cool, to be fair. Love the skin on this one. And it's mainly just for his bombs for arena and for wave-based content. So yeah, it'd be Gishnak for the bombs. Great champion to play around with, especially for wave-based content in the arena. So he'll be the legendary. And then epics, they've got some really trash epics. I would probably go for a Kempton, and it'd be for Hydra. And he's got attacks all enemies 3 times, and he's got 60, 70, 75 with sniper, 80% chance of applying hex, and then he also has a 60% chance on each hit to increase the duration of any hex. It's great for Hydra. And then he's got some poisons, and then he has an 80% chance of inflicted damage from 1 poison debuff to all enemies under hex debuffs. And then he's also got a speed aura in all battles. So that's Skinwalkers. Next faction we're on to is the Orcs. So for the Orcs, I'll go straight for Artak. I think he's a decent champion. He's got AoE HP burn, and then he instantly activates any HP burns on his A2 with a decreased attack. And then he can extend the duration of burns on his A1, and then he's got this funky passive where whenever a HP burn is activated, he destroys 5% of his max HP, stacks up to 50%, and when he does this, it increases the champion's damage, crit damage, and defense by 1% for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. So that's 50% on all that, if you get up to the 50%, that is. And then also increases his champion's speed and resistance by 2 for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. So yeah, he can solo quite a bit of content. Great champion. So then, epic-wise, it's got to be Seer, hasn't it? Yeah, it's got to be Seer. If I picked up a Seer right now, anything wave-based content would just be so much easier. And it's all down to this skill here. So she removes all the buffs from allies and enemies, then attacks all enemies, and the damage increases according to the number of buffs removed. So, great at clearing waves. Would speed up all my dungeon runs. Would speed up Doom Tower, Curse City. Yeah, would not mind getting my hands on a Seer. So what faction's next? We have got the Demonspawn. I'm going to say the Demonspawn, it's got to be Duchess Lilitu. If any new player picked her up early, she would hard carry you all the way through. So on her A3, she got Revive, places a veil on all allies and continuous heals. Got block buffs, increase attack, and then perfect veil on all allies. Got a shield for herself on her A1. Then on her passive, she decreases all the damage taken by allies from AoE attacks by 25%. 15% from bosses. So she would hard carry any new player's account. She's fallen out the meta a bit now, but she would hard carry you. Plus she's got speed in all battles aura. Great champion. Great champion. So then, epics. Oh, who are we going to go for here? I'm going to go for, where my account is struggling the most, is Fire Knight. So I'm going to go for Allure. Great Fire Knight champion. She attacks, she got triple hitter on her A1, which she decreases the target's turn meter by 25% on each crit. She's got a decreased defense and a sleep on her A2. And then on her A3, she attacks one enemy, 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit, and will ignore 50% of the target's defense. So yeah, I would pick Allure just to help me progress through Fire Knight. Next we have the Undead Hordes, and I'm going straight for, they got some few decent champions there. They got Sifi, Necrit, Bad Alcazar would help me a lot. Moral Gain's alright, Rotos is a hard hitter. But I would have to go Ultimate Death Knight. I think he would hard carry me as well, same as Duchess. So he's got a Provoke on his A1. He's got decreased attack and fear for legendary champions on his A2. He's got shield and continuous heal on his A3. Very tanky champion. And then on one of his passive, he blocks the incoming damage to a champion and he takes it himself. And then on his other passive, he increases his HP, defense, and speed by 10% for every dead ally, so you could get up to 40%, 50% in Hydra. So he can solo quite a bit of content as well. But yeah, he's still a great champion. Wouldn't mind picking him up. Then for the epics, it's either between Seeker or Vogoth, I think, for right now. I think it's going to go Vogoth, because this guy is an absolute tank. So A1, he attacks 3 times, got a chance of increasing the duration of a random debuff. And then he's got an AoE, he's got provoke and decrease attack. And then one of his passive, whenever a champion's attack heals all allies by 50% of the damage received, but it's only 25% if bosses. On his other passive, when attacked, he places a leech debuff on the attacker for 2 turns. If the attacker is under provoke, has a 70% chance of increasing the cooldown of a random skill by 2 turns. It occurs once per attack. So yeah, he's a great tanky champion, and I think if I picked him up, he would benefit me in almost every area of the game. So yeah, that's the Undead Hordes. Next up is the Dark Elves. So obviously the main ones would be Lydia and Mithrala, but you get those anyway. You can't pull them. So if I was going to pick one, and I'm just going to do this just off the way he looks, but he looks so cool. Absolutely quality design that is. I love the skin of this champion. It's absolutely sick. So what does he do? So he's got ignores 15% of the target's defense if the attack's critical, and then gets 20% of an extra turn. We ignore strengthen, stone skin, increased defense, and ally protection buffs, and also ignores 15% of the target's defense. And then it decreases the attack by 10%, stacks up to 30%. Can't even pick this guy up anymore. But it would be mainly for the looks. He's got a quite interesting kit. And he attacks all enemies, ignores 50% of the target's defense, decreases the target's defense by 5%, stacks up to 30%. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense, fills the champion's turn rate by 50%, and then in his passive, places a shield buff on his champion equal to 25% of their max HP for 2 turns, and the champion cannot receive a critical hit while under a shield buff placed by this champion. So yeah, it's mainly him for looks really. But the 2 standouts in this one is Lydia and Mithrala. So for the epics, it's got to be Madame Suri. So she got attacks one enemy, 20% placing a fear. The chance increases if there's buffs out there. Attacks all enemies, and then steals a random buff. And places block debuffs on all allies, and then places true fear on the enemies who has buffs. And then removes all buffs from enemies. Places a decreased attack and decreased defense. It's basically a better version of the Stagnite AoE, drop defense and decrease attack. And her passive places a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. When attacked one, the shield has a 35% chance of placing a fear. So again, another great champion, great looking champion as well. Looks super cool. Yeah. So that's the Dark Elves. The next faction is the Knights Revenant. So everyone will just go straight for Narses because he is an absolute beast damage dealer. But they have got some good legendaries in this faction. Hegemon wouldn't be bad for right now. Theodore's really good. Dreng's decent damage dealer. But if I'm going to pick one for right now, it's going to be Ancora. She's a really good champion. Great support champion. Would really help my team out quite a lot. She's got a speed aura in all battles. She's got a revive with 50% HP and 75% turn meter, and she resets their cooldowns of their skills. She's got shield, strengthen, and then a full cleanse. And then she's got a 30% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random ally skill by 2 turns. So yeah, great legendary champions. Wouldn't mind picking her up. And for the epics, what are we saying here? I reckon for right now, Doom Priest is decent, Whisper's decent for damage, Sentinel Sepulchre's decent, Skull Crown and Sinatia's quite good. For right now on the account, I would go Miscreated Monster. He's an absolute tank. So he's got a stun on his A1 and decreased defense. He's got a stun, AoE stun on his A2 and a shield. And then he's also got ally protection and continuous heal. Same as Jareg with the Lizardmen, help progress me through clan boss a little bit more. If I had him on my team. I'm not really interested in that skill, but yeah, Miscreated Monster for clan boss progression. What's his ally protection skill? Again, it's a 4-turn cooldown. To help speed tune an ally protection champion, you want a 3-turn cooldown. But yeah, that's the Knight Revenants. Next up, we got the Dwarves, and they've got quite a decent legendary pool of champions. They got Trunda, Brogni, Morley's decent, Tormund's decent, Acrisia's decent, but it's got to be Newt, hasn't it? If I picked up a Newt now, it's triple hit enemy max HP on his A3, just a boss killer. He would help me progress through all the dungeons and Doom Tower. I picked him up right now on the account. Would not mind picking up a Newt. And then for epics, who would I go for? It's between Dimitha, so you could build out an unkillable clan boss team, but then you've got Geomancer, who is the best epic in the game. So yeah, I'm going to go with Geo. It took me ages to get him on my main, so I'm going to go with Geo. So he's got a decreased accuracy on his A1. He removes all buffs from the target enemy, but his actual skills are quite weak. It's his passive was the strong point of his kit. So he decreases the damage all allies receive by 15% and deflects that damage onto an enemy under HP burn. Whenever this champion is attacked, deflects 30% of the damage instead. When deflecting damage on each enemy hit, has a 30% chance of dealing additional damage equal to 3% of the target's max HP. So this is where he comes into play. Great in loads of areas of the game. He is definitely the best epic in the game. So yeah, I would not mind getting myself a Geomancer. I think it took like a year and a half on my main account to pick a Geo up. It took ages. Whereas I got Dimitha relatively quickly on the main. So next up is the Shadowkin. This faction has got a fair few decent legendaries. Lady Kimmy's decent, Mishinaki's decent for Hydra, Harima's a beast, Yumiko's a beast as well, Chuzen's really good, Ayasu, crazy damage dealer, Ninja, crazy boss killer, and I'm absolutely gutted I missed out on the promo code to get Ninja just before I started this free-to-play series. It'd have been great to have on this account. But I'm going to go with, it's going to be Harima. It's going to be Harima. I picked her up. She's one of my first legendary champions on the main account. She carried me really hard. Great in arena, great for clan boss, great for wave content, great for Hydra. Got decreased attack on her A1. She got a triple hitter on her A2, and it decreases the target's defense by 5%, stacks up to 30%, and then it increases her defense by 5% and stacks up to 100%. And if she kills someone, it instantly activates her A3, and then the A3 is an AoE provoke skill, and it hits really hard. And then on her passive, any ignored defense effects are decreased by 50%, and then Demonspawn champions cannot inflict a critical hit upon the champion, and then she cannot land a weak hit against Demonspawn. So she's really strong against Demonspawn in arena. So yeah, she'd be my top pick. And then for epics, well, I'll be going straight for Draggy. Draggy the Frog for clan boss. He's got a decreased attack on his A1. He's got provoke, AoE provoke on his A2. Really interested in clan boss. But this is where we want. He's got a shield, he's got ally protection and reflect damage on a 3-turn cooldown. So he is built for clan boss killable teams. And then on his passive, he's got, when attacked, place 50% chance of placing a 5% poison for 2 turns. But every time he's hit, 50% chance poison to go straight onto the enemy. He's also really good at soloing the Scarab King as well, because the poisons go through his nasty shield. Yeah, he's a great champion. Great champion. Would not mind picking him up. I think he used to be a new starter promo code, and it's like whether you would pick him over Wukong. Wukong's probably harder to get through shards than Draggy, but he's still a great champion. So the final faction is the Sylvan Watchers. Again, this faction has got some decent legendaries. Elves decent, Birrell's decent, Padrag's decent, Clydena's okay now, she had a buff for Hydra, Emic's decent, but I'm going to go for Estrid. On her A1, she's got a chance to sleep, increases if the target's under decreased speed or weaken. And then her A2, she's got an AoE decreased speed and weaken, 100% chance, and a turn meter fill. And then on A3, increase speed, increase attack, and fills the turn meter by 50%, and then gets an extra turn. She's a great champion. I did not do the fusion on my main account for this one, and that's a huge regret because she is quality. She's got a speed aura of 28% in arena, and what's her passive do? Whenever this champion or an ally has a turn meter increased, heals all allies based on their max HP. The percentage value of the heal is equal to half the turn meter increase. So yeah, she's a great champion. I wish I'd done the fusion now for this one on my main. And then epic wise, who are we going to go for here? Nia's decent for Hydra with her cooldown resets. Creodan's decent for Fire Knight and Control. Rella's decent, but I reckon I might go for this guy. I watched Hell Hades on his free-to-play series at the start of this year, and this guy cycles turns so quick, and he's also got AoE drop defense, and then he's got increased attack and increased accuracy as well. He looked I've never had him, but he looked a really good champion on the Hell Hades free-to-play. So I reckon if I picked him up on here, he'd be a great champion. So yeah, that's all of it. We won't go into rares. Could be a bit different if we included mythicals, but hey ho. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and that is everything from me. Until next time, probably drop another free-to-play update. But yeah, comment down below if you agree with any of the decisions, or if you disagree, or who you think should take any of their places. I'll be interested to find out what you guys think. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.